So ask yourself the question, people who know you, would they know you as someone who trusts God, who obeys God, someone who attempts to walk in His will? Or do they just know you as a person who sort of just does whatever comes naturally, and you want to be happy and you want to be successful and you want to fit into the ways of the world? God did not allow you to be born just to do any old thing you wanted to do. That wasn't His plan.
Watch carefully as the Apostle John defines darkness in his context. Darkness comes in a lot of different ways, but what John's talking about here is understanding the work of the Holy Spirit in your life. If you will acknowledge that work and agree with what the Holy Ghost is doing in your life, you won't walk in darkness.
Welcome to Diggin' Deeper, a simple Bible study where we go digging deeper into the Word of God. Thank you for joining me. I am your host, Billy Ray Parrish. And today's study will take place in Genesis chapter 43. After this study, we will only have 7 more chapters left before we are complete with the first book of the Bible. This is very exciting. The book of Genesis is a very hard-hitting book and can be difficult to understand. And this is one reason why we have these studies. We want to go deeper than just each verse because we want to fully understand the verse and its context. For a while now, Joseph has been front and center, and he has been tested greatly, but now it's time for him to test his brothers. Genesis chapter 43 is made up of 34 verses beginning with verse 1. And the famine was sore in the land. And it came to pass, when they had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, Go again, buy us a little food. And Judah spake unto him, saying, The man did solemnly protest unto us, saying, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy thee food, but if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And Israel said, Wherefore dealt ye so ill with me, as to tell the man whether ye had yet a brother? And they said, The man asked us straitly of our state, and of our kindred, saying, Is your father yet alive? Have ye another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words. Could we certainly know that he would say, Bring your brother down? And Judah said unto Israel his father, Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go that we may live, and not die, both we and thou, and also our little ones. I will be surety for him of my hand shalt thou require him, if I bring him not unto thee, and set him before thee. Then let me bear the blame forever, for except we had lingered, surely now we had returned this second time. And their father Israel said unto them, If it must be so now, do this: take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm, and a little honey, spices, and myrrh, nuts, and almonds, and take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought again in the mouth of your sacks. Carry it again in your hand, peradventure it was an oversight. Take also your brother, and arise, go again unto the man, and God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may send away your other brother, and Benjamin. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. And the men took that present, and they took double money in their hand and Benjamin, and rose up, and went down to Egypt, and stood before Joseph. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, Bring these men home, and slay, and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph bade, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. And the men were afraid, because they were brought into Joseph's house. And they said, Because of the money that was returned in our sacks at the first time are we brought in, that he may seek occasion against us, and fall upon us, and take us for bondmen, and our asses. And they came near to the steward of Joseph's house. And they communed with him at the door of the house, and said, O sir, we came indeed down at the first time to buy food, and it came to pass, when we came to the inn, that we opened our sacks, and, behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight, and we have brought it again in our hand. And other money have we brought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks. And he said, Peace be to you, fear not, your God. And the God of your father hath given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money. And he brought Simeon out unto them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house, and gave them water. And they washed their feet, and he gave their asses provender. And they made ready the present against Joseph came at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed themselves to him to the earth. And he asked them of their welfare, and said, Is your father well, the old man of whom ye spake? Is he yet alive? And they answered, Thy servant our father is in good health, he is yet alive. And they bowed down their heads, and made obeisance. And he lifted up his eyes, and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother, of whom ye spake unto me? And he said, God be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother. And he sought where to weep, and he entered into his chamber, and wept there. And he washed his face, and went out, and refrained himself, and said, Set on bread. And they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians, which did eat with him, by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth, and the men marveled one at another. And he took and sent messes unto them from before him. But Benjamin's mess was 5 times so much as any of theirs. And they drank, and were merry with him. Genesis chapter 42 ended with Jacob refusing to allow any of his family to return to Egypt, particularly his son Benjamin. As far as Jacob knew, Benjamin was the only son he had left from Rachel, as he assumed Joseph was dead. Simeon was being held in Egypt by the Egyptian governor Joseph, or his Egyptian name, Zaphnath-Paneah. As sad as it may sound, Jacob was willing to sacrifice Simeon rather than risk losing Benjamin, which is not a position any person should ever be in. As learned in chapter 42, Jacob held his other sons responsible for that happened to Joseph and Simeon, and even for the potential loss of Benjamin. As time passes, the food runs out, so Jacob sends his sons back to buy more food. But the sons are unable to do so without Benjamin. At least, the sons cannot return and expect good results without Benjamin. Judah reminds Jacob of this fact, and we see here Judah starting to become a brave and honorable man, even getting collateral to Jacob. It does not take much reasoning to understand that without Benjamin, the mission will be impossible. And as we have learned in previous chapters about Jacob, he's stubborn. Even though he's favored and blessed, he's stubborn. And his stubborn ways keep him blaming the children for what has happened. He complains that they should not have told the governor there is another brother. It's a mystery to the brothers, to Jacob's sons, why the governor cares so much for their brother, but they know they cannot return without him. Obviously, the brothers did not think much about the questions as they were in a very tough position. They were facing starvation, the entire world was. And they were at the mercy of the Egyptian official, so they were going to answer whatever they could. They had no reason to lie to Joseph about their family. Judah asks Jacob to trust him with this brother, the boy, or the lad as he labels him in other translations, in order that all of them might survive this famine. Judah was leading the charge to kill Joseph, but now he's taking charge to do what was right. Judah promises to take personal responsibility for Benjamin's safety, and he goes further and offers himself as a pledge of safety. This is not some half-hearted pledge, but a real commitment. Obviously, there has been time wasted because Jacob's refusal to allow his sons to go back to Egypt, so Judah's statement, "For except we had lingered, surely now we have returned the second time," is correct. If only they had left already, they would have been there. Jacob starts to realize that Benjamin must go with his brothers, and he wants to send gifts for the governor. "Take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm, and a little honey, spices, and myrrh, nuts, and almonds, and take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought again in the mouth of your sacks. Carry it again in your hand, peradventure it was an oversight. Take also your brother, and arise, go again unto the man." Jacob's instructions of taking double the money was to cover both the cost of the new grain and the money mysteriously returned to their sacks after buying grain on the previous trip. And the other items was a similar tactic used with Esau and their reunion, as Jacob was unsure how Esau felt. Jacob now sends the children off, but not before giving them over to God Almighty, by praying that God will give them mercy before the Egyptian governor, and that the man will send both Simeon and Benjamin back home with their other brothers. Jacob seems to accept whatever happens as God's will. It could be read in different ways, but knowing Jacob's character and the things he's done from the past, I believe he's saying that what happens, happens, and it's God's will. The brothers set out with the gifts, money, and Benjamin to head for Egypt. They stand before Joseph, and Joseph orders an animal to be killed in order for his brothers to eat. He knows they are hungry, and the trip was hard on them. After all, the world is in a famine. When he sees his brothers, he realizes they have done as he instructed them. And more importantly, he sees not just the 9 brothers, but Benjamin as well. We do not know how much catching up with Simeon he's done, I assume quite a bit. But now he has the opportunity to do so much more. All of the brothers are allowed into the home just as Joseph had ordered. But the brothers were afraid because they're thinking they were going to be punished based on what happened with the money. They do their best to clear up the matter before they are attacked and forced into slavery, but this would have been irony as Joseph was sold into slavery. And now they are fearful of being made slaves. In part, they explain, "And other money have we brought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks." They insist that they do not know who put the money back in their packs. The brothers are very surprised to the response of Joseph. "Peace be to you, fear not, your God and the God of your father hath given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money." He brings out Simeon. They give up the gifts and await the meal that they are to eat at noon. They give him the gifts and bow before him. Joseph asks them simple questions that probably did not make the brothers think. After all, some of these questions are referred to as interest, or even small talk. "Is your father well, the old man of whom ye spoke? Is he yet alive?" The brothers not knowing Joseph, he was asking how was his dad. Joseph had been away for nearly 30 years at this point, so the question meant a lot to him. When he learns about Jacob being well, he turns to Benjamin and inquires about him. All of this becomes too much for Joseph, so he has to excuse himself into another room where weeps, he cries, because it's been over 2 decades since he saw Benjamin. Benjamin was the only brother not involved in the selling of Joseph into slavery. It was a custom during this period of time that Egyptians not eat with Hebrews. And while Joseph was a Hebrew, he had also been acclimated into Egyptian society. And he was also hiding his identity from his brothers, so he kept with the custom, and did not eat with his brothers. This may also have something to do with Joseph's status as a governor. But the verse reads the Egyptians did not eat with the Hebrews. We are told that the brothers were seated according to their birth order. And they were amazed by this, which, understandably so, as the steward had no way of knowing this fact. All of the brothers were served food, but Benjamin received so much more in regards to portions. Despite Benjamin getting so much more, the brothers do not seem to mind as they become merry in their surroundings. And this is where chapter 43 ends, a scene of brotherly love with food and relaxation. This is where we come to an end of our Bible study today in Genesis chapter 43. We are nearing the end of the first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis. There have been so many historical events covered throughout the first 43 chapters of Genesis. There is no telling what the next studies will reveal, so join us next time for our Bible study here on Digging Deeper, as we simply dig deeper into the Word of God. If you liked what you just watched, like and share our content. It really helps us grow. And think about subscribing to our channel, which will help you keep up to date with all of our content. Once again, I am your host, Billy Ray Parrish. And until next time, thank you for joining us. Stay safe and God bless.